This is the IBM Personal Computer AT, a dynamic new member of the IBM personal computer family. Both the system unit and the keyboard represent an advance in the technology of personal computer design. The system unit is engineered for high-speed performance. Based on the powerful Intel 80286 processor, it is a true 16-bit machine. This central processing unit is significantly faster than those in the IBM PC and the PC AT. Another distinctive feature is the key lock. This dual-purpose key lock will not only deactivate the keyboard, but also lock the system unit cover so components are secure. Yet another feature unique to the Personal Computer AT is the battery pack. Even when the system unit is off, the battery provides power for the real-time clock and calendar. The keyboard is designed for efficiency and ease of use. It has a larger enter key and 3 status lights that indicate the status of the capital lock, numeric lock, and the scroll lock keys. A 10-foot keyboard cable provides expanded flexibility and working distance from the system unit. The base model has a random access memory of 256 kilobytes. A standard feature is a high-capacity diskette drive capable of storing 1.2 megabytes on just one high-capacity diskette. There are locations for an additional diskette drive and a fixed disk, or for 2 fixed disks. Here we see both the 1.2 megabyte diskette drive and the 360 kilobyte diskette drive installed. The 360K drive is identified by an asterisk. The enhanced model has all this and more. The random access memory is extended to 512 kilobytes. In addition to a high-capacity diskette drive, the enhanced model comes with a 20 megabyte fixed disk. A factory-installed serial parallel adapter supports optional communications devices. Both models of the Personal Computer AT provide plenty of room for growth. 6 slots support adapters that use a full 16-bit data bus. Another 2 slots will support only standard 62-pin adapters. This position is reserved for the optional 80287 math coprocessor. The system memory can be expanded up to 3 megabytes by installing 512 KB memory options. A 128 KB option is also available. Publications available for the Personal Computer AT include the Installation and Setup Manual. It contains detailed installation instructions for the system unit and options. The Guide to Operations is designed to provide the customer with all the necessary information for operation. It also contains problem determination procedures and a diagnostics diskette. The Hardware Maintenance and Service package consists of a manual and an advanced diagnostics diskette. A technical reference is also available. This manual provides hardware design and interface information. It's designed for use by programmers and engineers. That's just a brief overview of the Personal Computer AT. Stop the tape now and refer to the training guide for further instructions. Before you get started, you should be aware of safe work practices. Safety precautions are an important part of your job. To avoid electric shock, you should remove any jewelry and ensure that both the work surface and the electrical outlet are grounded. Whenever you remove the system unit cover to service the Personal Computer AT, you should wear safety glasses to protect your eyes. The Installation and Setup Manual is designed to provide all the information necessary to ready the system for operation. Before you begin unpacking, we recommend that you refer to the bill of sale for a complete list of the options that your customer expects to receive installed. It's a good idea to save the shipping cartons and packing materials for future moves. Be sure to remove the protective shipping cardboard from the diskette drive. Once you have the system unit unpacked, Locate the keys and unlock the system unit cover by turning the key toward the unlocked padlock symbol. Then remove the keys so they won't interfere with the cover removal. As a customer service, you should record the system unit serial number and the key serial number. This information will be valuable to the customer when future service is required and when additional or replacement keys are desired. Before you remove the system unit cover, be sure the power switch is positioned off and the key lock is unlocked. Locate the 5 cover mounting screws on the back of the system unit and remove them. Slide the cover towards the front until it is clear of the frame, then remove the cover and set it aside. Before you're prepared to install any options that go inside the system unit, the battery that operates the system unit clock must be connected. Align the battery cable connector with the battery cable pins on the system board and push down. Now, any options the customer requested can be installed. Now we're ready to install option adapters in the system unit. Let's take a look at the PC AT system unit interior. These are factory installed adapters. They should remain in their assigned slots. The memory expansion option may be installed in slot 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. You should be aware that some options can be damaged by static discharge. These options are packaged in anti-static bags. Before you remove a static-sensitive option from its bag, hold it in one hand and touch a metal part of the system unit with your other hand. This will prevent damage to the static-sensitive option. Carefully remove the option from the bag by holding the option by the edges only. Some option adapters for the PC AT, like the 512 KB memory expansion option, require specific adjustments, such as switch settings, to be made at installation. This information can be found in the installation and setup manual. You should read these instructions carefully before you begin installation. Now remove the retaining screw and the slot cover. Hold the adapter by the top and firmly press it into the slot. Align the hole in the adapter's retaining bracket with the hole in the rear panel of the system unit and replace the retaining screw. A display adapter is required to install any type of display to the system. An IBM color display may be connected only to the color graphics adapter. The monochrome display should be connected to the monochrome display and printer adapter. The type of display adapter you have installed in the PC AT will determine the way you should set the display switch on the system board. Now, let's see how we can install a second diskette drive. The IBM PC AT comes with a factory-installed high-capacity 5¼ slimline diskette drive, capable of storing 1.2 megabytes of data. The system can be upgraded by installing either a second high-capacity diskette drive or a 360 KB double-sided diskette drive. The installation procedure for both types of diskette drives is the same. Unscrew the cover plate screws and remove the cover plate assembly. Then unscrew and remove the mounting screws and clips. To install the second diskette drive, you'll have to slide the factory-installed diskette drive out of the system unit about 2 to 3 inches. Since the factory-installed drive has a terminating resistor, you should remove the terminating resistor on the second drive before you slide it into the system unit. Leave the drive about 2 to 3 inches out of the frame so you can connect it with the signal cable, the power supply cable, and the ground wire. Once the cables are connected, gently push them down and out of the way before you slide the 2 drives back into the system unit. Then replace the mounting screws and brackets. Before you can replace the cover plate assembly, you'll have to remove the diskette cover blank. Now you can replace the cover plate assembly. Finally, you should remove the shipping cardboard from the installed second diskette drive. As a customer service, be sure to record the diskette drive type on the setup information foldout in the installation and setup manual. Now let's install a fixed disk drive. The PC AT can accommodate up to 2 fixed disk drives. To install a first fixed disk drive, begin by removing the mounting screws and clips and the load resistor. Slide the drive into the left slot of the system unit until its front panel is about 2 to 3 inches from the unit's frame. Now, you can connect the data and signal cables to the drive. Depending on the amount of drives installed in the system, there may be extra cable connectors left. After you slide the drive completely into the system unit, connect the power supply cable and the ground wire. Be sure the drive is completely into the system unit before you replace the mounting clips and screws. As a customer service, you should record the drive type on the setup information foldout. A second fixed disk drive can be installed in a system with only the factory installed diskette drive. All the information you need to install a second drive in the PC AT is provided in the installation and setup manual. Before you replace the system unit cover, be sure you have the display switch on the system board set for the type of display adapter you've installed in the PC AT. Slide the system unit cover carefully onto the system unit and align the threaded tabs on the cover with the holes in the rear panel. Then, insert the 5 screws and tighten them clockwise. The PC AT can support either the IBM color display or the IBM monochrome display. Before you connect either type of display, you should be sure all power switches are off. To connect either type of display, the signal cable must be connected to the signal connector. The monochrome display power cord attaches to the system unit. The color display power cord would be attached to the display, then to a properly grounded receptacle. As a customer service, you should record the display serial number in the installation and setup manual. Be sure the power supply switch on the back of the system unit is set correctly. Failure to do so may result in system unit damage. Connect the keyboard cable to the back of the system unit. Now, you can connect the power cable to the system unit and then to a properly grounded receptacle. The PC AT is now ready to be functionally tested. Before the PC AT is delivered to the customer, IBM recommends that you run a thorough check of the system with the Advanced Diagnostics diskette. The system unit will automatically execute a power-on self-test, or POST, before it loads the Advanced Diagnostics. POST runs every time the system unit's power is set to on. The first time the system is powered on, an error will be encountered because options in the real-time clock have not been set. You will then be prompted to run the setup program. This program should be run when a system is first installed, a new battery is installed, or an option is removed or added. You should have the answers to the questions in this program recorded in the setup information foldout. After you've completed system setup, the first screen of the Advanced Diagnostics is displayed. Choose the System Checkout option and follow the instructions. These functional tests will be covered in more detail when we discuss diagnostics. Once the system is thoroughly checked out, select the Prepare the System for Moving option from the Advanced Diagnostics menu. This step is vital if the system has a fixed disk drive, because it moves the heads off the data area of the disk. When the System Ready for Moving message is displayed on the screen, remove the diskette and set all power switches to off. Insert the shipping cardboard in the diskette drives and unplug all power cords. Disconnect all cables from the system unit, coil them up, and tape them to the top of the system unit. For short moves, carry each component separately. For a long-distance move, it's best to repack the components in the original shipping cartons. This concludes the video segment for installation and setup of the IBM PC AT. These procedures are covered in detail in the installation and setup manual. Take some time to read through it, if you want, before you answer the study questions on the PC AT service training diskette. A FRU is a field replaceable unit. You'll be responsible for repair of the IBM Personal Computer AT to the FRU level. The Hardware Maintenance and Service Manual provides all the information necessary to locate, remove, replace, and adjust FRUs. If you're uncertain where a FRU is located or what it looks like, you should refer to the Location section of the HMS. The Removals, Replacements, and Adjustments section of the HMS contains illustrated step-by-step service procedures for every PC AT FRU. One FRU you may be required to replace is the PC AT system battery pack. Even this simple procedure is well documented in the HMS. Remember, when the battery is replaced, the setup program should be run. The power supply is located here, next to the battery pack. As a safety precaution, disconnect the power cord from the system unit before you remove the power supply. Then, disconnect the system board's power cables. Grasp the connectors and pull straight up. After you've disconnected the fixed disk drive and diskette drive power cables and removed the power supply mounting screws, slide the power supply about a ½ inch toward the front of the system unit. Then lift and remove it. The procedure for system board removal includes a number of steps that are really separate procedures. You may want to mark your place in the HMS and refer back to each of these separate procedures before you remove the system board. In order to remove the system board, you'll have to remove all the adapters installed in the system unit. Before you do this, though, you should make a note of the slot each adapter is in. Now, you can disconnect the system board's power cables, the battery pack cable, and the key lock and LED cable. After you've removed the system board's mounting screws, you can slide the system board away from the power supply until the standoffs can be lifted from the mounting slots. Then lift the system board up and out the side of the system unit. When you replace the system board, you should refer to the notes you made for the slot for each adapter. Also make sure you set the display switch to the same position as it was on the defective board. You may have to replace a failing memory module. Grasp the module with the module puller and gently lift one end and then the other. Avoid the use of force because the module pins are easily bent. When replacing a memory module, be sure to line up the module so the notch faces the same direction as the installed modules. If you isolate a fault in the PC AT to a fixed disk or diskette drive, then you remove the defective drive and replace it. There are no FRUs contained in the drives. Steps for removal and replacement of both types of drives can be found in the HMS. You may isolate a fault in the PC AT keyboard. The keyboard contains a number of FRUs: a base, an assembly, internal and external cables, the adjustable feet and an LED driver card, and a top cover. The remove and replace procedures for each of these FRUs can be found in the HMS. This concludes the video segment for remove and replace FRUs. These procedures and the procedures for servicing all PC AT FRUs are covered in detail in Locations and Removals, Replacements, and Adjustments sections of the HMS. You might want to take some time to review these sections before you answer the study questions on the service training diskette. This segment will introduce you to the various IBM PC AT diagnostics. There are two basic types of diagnostics: those used by the customer to isolate a fault to a customer replaceable unit, or a CRU, and those used by the service technician to isolate a fault to a field replaceable unit, or FRU. Both the customer and the service technician use the power-on self-test, or POST, to help diagnose failures in the PC AT. Each time the system unit's power switch is set to on, POST executes. POST checks the system board, memory expansion adapter, fixed disk diskette drive adapter, primary display, keyboard, diskette drives, and fixed disk drives. 4 responses indicate successful completion of POST. The keyboard status lights blink on and off. The total system memory is displayed. The keyboard lights blink again. You'll hear one short beep, and an operating screen is displayed. I have to pay close attention to catch all these responses. If there's no beep, you hear more than one beep, see a blank screen or an error message, that means that Post has detected a problem in the PC AT. The customer is provided with problem determination procedures in the Guide to Operations. These procedures may direct the customer to use the diagnostics diskette that is included with the GTO package. The diskette contains a series of tests that help the customer isolate a fault to the CRU level. The CRUs for the personal computer AT include the system unit, keyboard, display, and printer. The customer may bring a CRU to you for service. You're responsible for isolating faults to the FRU level. The diagnostic aids available to you in the HMS package include problem isolation charts, or PICs, and the advanced diagnostics diskette. Normally, the PICs will instruct you when to use the advanced diagnostics diskette. However, IBM also recommends that you use the advanced diagnostics diskette before delivery of a new system and before return of a repaired system to ensure proper operation. The PC AT Advanced Diagnostics Diskette is driven by 11 main menus that are similar to the menus contained on the PC XT Advanced Diagnostics Diskette. Here are details on 3 menus which are of special interest. The battery defective menu is displayed first if a battery is defective, a new battery has just been installed, or if the time, date, and options are not set. Menu 4 is System Checkout. You can choose to run tests once or multiple times and log errors to a diskette or printer. Menu 11 allows you to format the fixed disk drive. Careful, choosing this option will destroy all data on the drive selected. PICs are a series of steps and screen menus that aid you in isolating a fault to the FRU level. Each PIC page has 3 parts separated by lines. The top portion gives you instructions and asks you to observe the results. The middle of the PIC page asks you to verify a response, check an adjustment, asks you a question, or displays a menu. The bottom portion directs you where to go depending upon your answer to a question. The entry point for all PICs is the start pages. You're asked by the start pages to make sure all the switch settings, jumper positions, and the options setup are correct. These procedures can be found in the System Setup section of the HMS. The start pages then ask you to set the system unit's power to off, remove all non-IBM devices, adjust the display controls, and ensure all cable connections are properly installed. You're then directed to turn the system unit's power switch to on. Post will run. You may get an error code at this point which relates to your problem. Match the error code on the display with this table in the HMS. The table lists the PIC pages you should turn to. The X's represent any alphanumeric character. If the last 2 digits are zeros, the test was successful. As you work through the PIC pages, you'll be instructed when to insert the Advanced Diagnostics diskette. You'll be asked to compare menu screens from the PIC page to the actual display screens. You'll be asked to take meter readings and make other observations of system conditions. It's a good idea to write down all error messages. By interacting with the PIC pages and the advanced diagnostics, you'll isolate the problem to a single FRU. A PIC page will direct you to the removal replacement section of the HMS to service the failing FRU. Not all problems can be solved using the basic diagnostic procedure. An intermittent problem is one which does not occur every time the PC AT is operated. These problems are the most difficult to diagnose. Use the intermittent problem PICs after you've completed advanced diagnostics without finding an error, yet you still suspect a fault exists. Intermittent problems are identified by creating an error log. An option on the Advanced Diagnostics diskette will log any errors to either a blank diskette or the printer. The error log feature allows you to run multiple tests on the unattended PC AT. Once you've determined the source of an intermittent problem, you can replace the failing FRU. Before we leave diagnostics, let's talk about isolating a memory failure. A memory error can be traced using the PIC pages to one of 3 areas: the system board, the 128 KB base memory expansion option, or a 512 KB memory expansion option. A memory error message is a 10-character alphanumeric code. Let's assume the error is in the system board. The system board memory is divided into two banks, Bank 0 and Bank 1. Using the error code and some figures on the PIC pages, you narrow down the location of the error to one of two banks, and finally to the failing module in a bank. Figures in the memory PIC pages also allow you to isolate memory errors to a particular module on the 128 KB or 512 KB options. A 10-character error message is only one possible indicator of a memory failure. You may also get a parity check message. When you replace memory modules or any other FRU, be sure to run the system checkout on the Advanced Diagnostics diskette. You need to check the performance of the new FRU and to make sure there isn't another error in the system. Now it's time for you to try diagnosing a fault in an IBM Personal Computer AT. Stop the videotape and access the diagnostics segment on the service training diskette.